Welcome back to another episode of What the Heck is Going On in the Real Estate Market. Coming to you live from Plymouth, Massachusetts. We're going to dig into what is happening, not in Plymouth, in Massachusetts. We're going to dig into what is happening down in Florida tonight. And there is a lot happening. It's been on the news. Gosh, it feels like it's been on the news for the last 6 months. And I wanted to go through some end of the year stats to kind of give us an idea, kind of give you an idea of what's going to happen as we head into the new year. And honestly, I hear all the feedback from you guys. I watch the threads. I watch other live streams, and I see the apprehension, and the negativity, the struggle. If you're in a position where you have to sell a house down in Florida, or if you're thinking about buying down in Florida, or you're just thinking about moving and you just don't know what's going on down in Florida, and I wanted to kind of dig into that tonight. So we're going to do that, and I reached out to a friend of mine who is a real estate agent down there, and he's been on this live stream before. He actually lives on the East Coast, Palm Beach area, and he's going to join us for some conversation and share his side of what he's seeing in the market down there, and why people are leaving, why a lot of people are leaving the area. So I'm going to bring him on, Mr. Paul Lykins. How you doing, sir?
Hey, how's it going?
Well, not too bad, not too shabby for a what day of the week is it? Tuesday?
Tuesday.
Tuesday night.
Wednesday.
I will say that it's this time of year that I start looking forward to the warmer weather that you guys have down there. I'm heading into February. Housing market's starting to show its some signs of gearing up. The National Association of Realtors says that February 9th is the magic first day of the spring market. I think it's all a farce to get people like, oh, we got to get going. It's the spring market started, and I think it's all nonsense. But we're seeing activity up here, But I'm interested in having conversation with you to. Get some articles and some content to dig into, and then I know things are interesting down there.
That's a word you could use for it.
My grandmother would say, "There's a butt for every seat. No house is unsaleable." Well, that's what I said, not my grandmother, but it's just a matter of how do you get there.
Sometimes it takes a little longer.
So we're going to dig right into this Florida housing dilemma. A couple pieces of housekeeping. We got a poll going on the live stream. If you're watching this on the replay, unfortunately, you're not going to be able to see that, but I am going to announce the results of that poll at the end of the live stream. The other thing I wanted to just pop up here on the screen here in the comments. I do have a call-in number. So if you are watching this on the regular, you have a question that maybe you're watching it on the replay that you want me to address at on the live stream next week. I do this every week, Tuesday night, 6 p.m. Call into the number down below here, and leave your name, your first name, just your first name, where you're calling from, and your question. And then I put like some animation, some cute little characters, and play your voice asking the question, and then I'll answer that for you. So that's a fun thing I do every now and then. But Paul, let's get right into the first article. So this actually is coming from Resi Club. Now, Resi Club does a lot of data processing, right? They provide a lot of data points for other news channels. Okay. And they came out with some statistics that I thought was interesting. It's from boom to correction, 5 reasons why Florida's housing market has weakened. And I'll be interested to hear if this falls in line with what you're seeing on your end, Paul. So it says condo prices are declining 92% of Florida's housing markets, while single-family home prices are falling in 66% of Florida housing markets. Here's why. On a nationally aggregated basis, U.S. single-family home prices are measured by the Zillow Home Value Index, up to are, as measured by the Zillow Home Value Index, are up to positive plus 2.8% year over year, while U.S. condo prices have risen 0.4% over the same period. In much of the Midwest, Northeast, and Southern California, regional home prices have seen even stronger gains. Now, I just wanted to jump off that real quick. The Zillow Home Value Index, Paul, I've got that right here actually. So this is right off their website. You know, they've got it right on Zillow.com. The thing to know about this, though, the Zillow Home Values Index, because I like to research this stuff so that you guys don't have to. It is based on, it says, built from the ground up by measuring monthly changes in property level estimates. Captures both the level and home values across a wide variety of geographies and housing types. I'm bringing this up just as a point, you know, to know, because of the fact that this is not actual concrete data. It's built on their algorithm on what they're seeing. They take the data that from when homes are sold, and they put it through their algorithm to come up with this data. But I actually got into the Florida Association of Realtors website there, Paul, and have the real data, which we're going to take a look at. But just I wanted to show this.
Yeah, I have some stats in January.
Just to kind of give some relevance to what they're talking about here. So getting back to the Resi Club article, it says, however, some areas, particularly around the Gulf, are experiencing greater softness and weakness, with even a few undergoing home price corrections. It says among the 26, and this is where I'm interested to hear your point, what you're seeing, Paul, is among the 26 major Florida condo markets that Resi Club tracks, condo prices are falling on a year-over-year basis in 24 metro area markets, meaning condo prices are falling in 92% of Florida's markets. And the biggest year-over-year, and this is, you know, coming out at the end of 2024, year-over-year Florida condo price declines are in top of the list, Punta Gorda. Please correct me, Paul. I didn't.
Yeah,
I did it. Is it Punta Gorda?
Yeah, it's Punta Gorda. Yeah, or
I did it.
Punta Gorda. Yeah, it's honestly, I think I've heard it both ways. So
okay, well, please correct me. I actually did a video months and months ago, and I butchered some of these names. So forgive me if anybody's watching is down in Florida. Please forgive me. Northport, I can say that correctly. You know, it dropped 8.9%. The Villages. I was very surprised about this actually, because I've had a couple referrals.
Villages, and he said it's like super hot up there right now with sales. But
very, very interesting. And so maybe these numbers will flip. But Panama City, Cape Coral. Mm-hmm. I made the mistake of calling it Cape Coral in my video. I apologize. Tampa, Sebastian, Port St. Lucie, Naples, and Deltona. Down by Deltona Beach. Are these... I mean, are you seeing? Do you concur with this as far? And then we're talking strictly condo prices, not single families.
Like 90% of that is all on the west coast of Florida, except for Port St. Lucie, which is north of me, okay. Sebastian, which is north of me. You know, and the Panama City's way up in the Panhandle, right, where they had snow recently on their beach. Believe it or not.
Oh, those are the videos I saw. Yes,
but most of all that you see is on the west coast, and why? Who got hurt by the most hurricanes? The West Coast. They got hurt. It hurt them a lot. It hurt a lot of Florida, but it really hurt them. So that's why I see a lot of that. Now, I just pulled up our stats for Palm Beach County. We are at 8.8 months for Palm Beach, Broward, and Palm Beach County, Broward County, which for y'all watching is Fort Lauderdale, Hollywood, Davie, and Martin County, going north of us. And those, St. Lucie, I'm sorry. And those places up there have us sitting at like 8.8 months of inventory on condos.
So
a lot of
you know your markets, because this is from the Florida Association of Realtors, right? They have this on their website, public website. And so this is the end of, year-end 2024 statistics. And right there you go, month supply of inventory. Yep. For those watching, month supply of inventory, what that means is that is how long it would take if the spigot stopped right? Given the amount of demand, right? If the demand stayed stable, so however the buyer demand is right now, if that stayed just level and continued on, but no new listings came on, how long would it take to sell every single property on the market to zero? No new properties coming on, buyer demand stays the same. How long would it take? A healthy market is between 4 and 6 months. You get to 6 months, you start seeing that starting to shift from a seller's market to a buyer's market. And, 4 to 6 months. 8.2 months closing out the year, and you're seeing 8.8 months. That means that is, number one, it's a buyer's market. Number two, things are slipping. I mean, these prices, looks like the condo prices dropped 0.8%. Closed sales were down. I think the closed sales were down everywhere in the country, right? And time to sell. This was not as, I mean, and this is the thing, this is why I like to talk about these data points, Paul, because everyone, I read the threads and I read all the comments and nothing's selling, nobody's buying down in Florida. Nothing can sell in Florida. Well, 94,000 homes, 94,000 purchases would tell you different. Now, it is all over the entire state, right? And I don't have the data for Northeast, Southwest, but that's not zero. Right? And the fact that it's only jumping from a median time to sell from 73 to 96 days is not, that's not double. That's not alarming, I guess is what I'm saying. Like it's challenging, but it's not like sound the alarm. The state of Florida is going underwater. Like it's not. What would you concur on that?
And so in January, here's the numbers for closed sales in just Palm Beach County. Okay, 2023 there was 13,868. In 2024, 13,317. Not a big difference.
Wow.
In condos, 11,980 down to 9,948. Obviously, a bigger change on the condos. Right. So people are still buying. There's still people buying, just not as quickly and in a mad dash as it was before. But the condos are feeling it. They're feeling the crunch, and it's even in Palm Beach County around that number. That's 8 months of inventory. That was for Palm Beach County. So you had for the whole state. So the condos are sitting longer, but there are people buying homes. The important thing is it's got to be priced right, and it's got to be an attractive home. And I'm sure we'll get into that, but it has to be, you have to get them coming through your door, and then you have to be priced right.
Well, the other thing too that I look at is I say, on your, what you just said about pricing it right, on average, if you look at the history of real estate and the relationship between the list price and the sale price and the percentage, right now it's extraordinarily high, but the average is like 97%. That's the average, and I mean, I've been doing this gig a long time. So I think I've sold almost, I'm closing in on 1,000, properties the transactions, people, homes that I've sold. And that's a lot of data. And over the course of that time period, there were pockets of when the market broke loose, and it was like, I've never seen it like the 2021, stretch into 2022. I've never seen it where it was like every single sale was 100% or more. That's not only is that normal, but it was typical. Like, we're going to price it here. You don't say, okay, well, I think I'm going to get 100,000. So I'm purposely going to price it up here. You price it in line with what your competition is, but the expectation is that when the buyers come to the table, the buyers don't come to the table the first week necessarily. They take their time, especially now, right? I think people are probably doing more research, especially with condos and HOAs. They're doing more research, but they're coming in with a little bit lower, and the sellers, up to this point, prior to the crazy time, prior to COVID. They were kind of prepped for that. And maybe, are you seeing like a lot of sellers that are just, do you see sellers becoming more, in tune with what is normal with the market, and they're not just rejecting offers that are slightly below asking. Are they still? Are you still seeing like they're like, no, is an offer that's slightly below asking? We're going to wait for more money.
No, we're not, because the offers, have been far and few, right? So a couple properties we've had, like the people maybe come and look, but they didn't put the offer on it. Because they have options. They have more options for inventory out there. And so what we're seeing in the articles, even the news the other day said, sellers are giving concessions. Sellers are realizing that when people are coming in, the buyers may come in at a price and they still may ask for some kind of concession, or they ask for it up front, like to help pay for some of their closing costs. That was unheard of a couple of years ago. It was like, no, just forget it. We'll just wait for a better offer.
Right.
Now that may be the offer that's going to buy your house, and you can roll with it or take the gamble that you might not have another offer. Again, every situation is a little different, but we've seen a couple times where it comes in and we're like, look, that's the best offer you've seen. We've already had some super low ball offers come in. So,
and I think that kind of, that's reflected in, this data, right? I think this data kind of shows it with, your median, percent of original sale price, 94%, time to contract, 32 to 54 days. The buyers are taking longer, right? And maybe there's a little stickiness with the sellers, a little growing pain with the sellers. And it'll be interesting to see how these numbers change, over the next 6 months, as we get into, hopefully will be more of like a normal.
Well, we're at 5.1.
I don't know what normal looks like. Whatever the heck that looks like,
So that's
what is
kind of
this?
a level.
What does this word normal mean? I don't know.
Yeah.
There was, I wanted to pull, this is kind of a busy graph, but I wanted to pull it up because it was part of this article. And I pulled it up because it kind of shows, where things are at, getting towards the end of the year. And it kind of shows, just where all the different markets are and the change in the markets. And it wasn't certain markets like, right here. Ocala, is that how you say it? Where's that?
Ocala.
Yeah.
Ocala's that's horse country. It's up near Gainesville and Central Florida.
Interesting. So that's Central Florida, and that had a 2.9% drop in prices, which is interesting. Jacksonville, 4.4. But some of the areas like this area, how do you say that?
Palatka, I think that's up in Central Florida. I think. I'm not. I've heard of it. I don't know. There's one of those towns I've never been to it. So
3.5. So it actually had a 2.6% appreciation, which is interesting. Heading into the end of the year. So, it's not. I think it's just it. The bottom line being it's not cut and dry. When it comes to condo. I want to dig into single family, because single family is a different story, right? It's a total different story. So it's this article went on to say, like, when it comes to home prices, Florida single family homes prices are holding up better than condo prices. However, there's weakness too among the 29 major Florida single family markets that Resi Club tracks. Single family home prices are falling on a year-over-year basis in 19 metro area markets, meaning single family prices are falling in 66% of Florida's housing markets. Interesting enough, it's all the same, with a few exceptions.
That's interesting.
Yeah, Punta Gorda, Cape Coral, Northport, Naples, Palm Bay, Sebastian, Key West, Panama City, Crestview, Deltona. Actually, these are all areas that I kind of covered in my video earlier. It was about 6 months ago.
Yeah.
So, and if we shoot over to the, let's see here. Where are you? Here you go. So single family, not as drastic, but the month supply of inventory, Paul, is creeping, right? So it's 3.6 last year. Now it's 4.7. It's in that 4 to 6 month average, balanced market, healthier market, normal
Yeah.
market, which is interesting. So here's something to ponder, right? You you're in the thick of it. You're seeing all these price reductions, all the things, right? And we look at this 4.7%, 4.7 month supply of inventory, 4.7 month supply. Between 4 and 6 is normal. It's healthy. It feels bad because your market was one of the most overinflated markets of COVID,
Oh,
right?
yes. It's insanely overinflated.
Super over,
It's
like more so than any,
ridiculous
like
what people were offering on homes.
it was one of the top five, if not the top two
No,
markets in
that,
the country, right?
yeah.
For
Everybody
being
wanted to be in
overinflated.
Florida.
So it's like, you know, it's like going, you take a kid, you give him a piece of candy, every weekend he gets a piece of candy. And then comes, Halloween and he eats candy every day for a month. And then comes November and you start going back to one piece of candy on Saturdays. And they go, we know this is awful. This is terrible. What's going on? I'm never going to have candy again. It's just like what happened at the interest rates, right?
Yeah.
Maybe that's not a good analogy, but I guess what I'm trying to say is like, the interest rates went up, they went down, but then they went up not to an interest rate that was crazy high. 18% in the 80s was crazy high, but
Right.
it was the speed at which it went up. And at the
Yeah.
speed of which your prices are coming down is more jolting than where you actually are. Because the market, according to the data, is not terrible. Now, you guys have a whole host of challenges besides, pricing and all the things, but these numbers are not, I mean, the condo market's a little, that's
That's
a little bit more
different.
challenging, but you're also dealing with a lot of things with condo markets.
Yeah. Assessments, all that. That's a whole different.
That's a whole different ball of wax, right?
Yeah.
So, but I don't know. What are your thoughts? I mean, because you've been kicking
I mean,
around the real estate
the,
market for a while,
yeah. Look,
I mean, does this feel more like in terms of the flow of inventory, the flow of things, maybe people acting a little differently, but does it feel more like it was, you know, 10 years ago? Because even leading into the pandemic, it was, it was crazy. It's a seller's market.
no, I'll tell you, it's actually my opinion. Again, just from what I've seen, it's slower. This is like
Really?
I started in 2013, and a lot of it has to do with like things are selling, but they're not like coming at you left and right. And I've been fortunate that I've had some listings and some business going into this year, but it's been a lot slower, and that has to do with a lot of the situations that Florida's facing. Look, we didn't have these super high interest rates way back then. We had normal interest rates, but now they're like, again, not using the thing about they used to be 13 to 15%, but it also only cost $80,000 for a house. And
Yep.
the salaries were in line back then. The salaries, obviously, people's salaries have not stayed with inflation and the cost and all the interest rates. So it's not a fair comparison. But the what I'm seeing is that it's slowed down, and the problem is that we have the interest rates and the insurance. That's the insurance is making it difficult. So I think it's definitely a little bit slower right now because we did not have these problems way back then. So again, there's homes being sold and stuff, but buyers are being a lot more cautious right now, and lenders are being a lot tougher.
Yeah, you know what? You absolutely bring up a really good point there. You absolutely bring up a really good point in the sense that, there's so many factors. And I was looking for an article on, and I can't put my finger on it right now, but it went through just, the different areas that, how Florida has been impacted. And I guess the question is, where do you go from here? I
Well, I mean,
mean,
they're waiting
it's
for them to go back up to Tallahassee and sit down and address it. And not only are they going to be talking about the condo crisis, but everyone's waiting to see what they're going to talk about with the insurance. I mean,
what do you think? How do you fix this? How do you fix this?
well, I
Does the
mean, you
state
need
have
more
to get
competition.
involved with the
You need more insurance companies that are willing to write policies in Florida. and bringing the cost down for everybody. Because when you get everyone left to just using with Citizens, which is a state pool, right, and you have companies pulling out, they're telling people with like roofs and stuff that it's crazy. Like if you only have some people have roofs that aren't that old, but the interest is like, no, it's 10 years old, we don't really touch it. I mean, it's just so many horror stories from that. They have to address that. It's the wonder one it's probably the number one thing that keeps me up at night in my
Really?
business, is will they address this issue with homeowners insurance? I mean, they're kicking around the idea of doing a wind only policy. Well, I spoke to an insurance agent, and she goes, Paul, wind isn't the biggest damage. It's like people's pipes leaking and stuff. There's more claims from people having leaks in their house, and a pipe broke or something like that or whatever, than there is wind damage. But they're talking about trying to do like only wind only coverage. Well, that's great if you have a wind event, but I've lived here 33 years and I've never had a wind event once. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know the answer to it. I know it's on everyone's mind, but which is, I know you're going to talk about one of the articles about new construction. And one of the
Mm.
things I spoke about new construction was that they're built stronger, they're built better, they're met with all the new codes, and they're offering discounts on insurance because of that. And
So actually, since you brought that up, so I grabbed an article actually just last week from I think it was last week. From Fast Company, and I like Fast Company. I think their data is pretty good. It's America's largest builder says rising home housing inventory is starting to impact sales, Florida and Texas, and it talks about the incentives that they're giving, and D.R. Horton. Speaking on D.R. Horton's earnings call last week, CEO Paul Romanowski, nice Polish guy. I'm Polish. Uh,
you're Horton's big down here.
my maiden name is Krakowski. Just a fun fact that means nothing, but thought I'd throw that in there. Anyways, so he was asked about geographic housing demand trends and if rising inventory in Florida and Texas was impacting the sales of America's largest home builder. And I mean, D.R. Horton's having a tough way to go. Just north is it South Carolina? They're having some issues, right? They're having some challenges with construction, but
Mhm.
he says some of the recent buildup we've seen in inventory has had an impact on our sales when you look at portions of the Florida market, as well as isolated to some of the Texas markets where they saw a significant run up in valuations. We've seen some moderation there, but generally, as we enter into the spring, we have been pleased with what we've seen in these first weeks in our sales offices across our footprint. The regional variation described by D.R. Horton is supported by the data. According to the John Burns Research and Consulting Burns Home Builders Survey in December, which was published this month, home builders in Florida and Texas are spending the most on sales incentives, while home builders in the Northeast and Southern California are spending the least, which is not surprising at all. Florida, 10%. So this is the incentives for on unsold inventory as a percentage of sales price in December 2024, 10%. And then it gets into, he says, broadly speaking, home builders have been more willing in recent years to compress margins, which reached historic levels during the pandemic housing boom, and allocate them towards incentives or affordability adjustments, which is what needs to happen to meet the market when and where needed, rather than making significant cutbacks in production. In Florida, home builders are spending, I'm curious to see if you see this. In Florida, home builders are spending 10% of the sale price on incentives to help move unsold inventory on a $500,000 home that would come out to $50,000. That's nothing to sneeze at.
Mhm.
That's nothing to sneeze at. 50 grand. Are you now when first off, Paul, are you seeing this? That
Yeah,
what they're is this like a sometimes in these articles they put these statements in here and it's like a one rural development or two. It's not on a grand scale, but what are you seeing?
yeah. I'm going to some more. I haven't been to a lot this year. I just did one builder that had some pretty big incentives, but I've had invitations from more home builders to come see their product. And when they want to sell products, when they start hitting the realtors with 4%, 5%,
Mm-hmm.
bonus. to come out and sell. If you can go back, do you remember a couple years back where they were offering nothing? We don't need you realtors. Everyone's coming to our property anyway, and they're like, oh, we're not offering compensation, and we were all like, what? And then now it's like I have 50 emails a day. Hey, open house, come see this. Hey, we're doing a breakfast. We're doing a lunch and learn. Come see our incentives. So yeah, that makes sense to me because I see a whole bunch of that.
That's bonkers. Now, when they say incentives, what I mean, to what extent are we talking?
Well,
Price
they'll use some of
drops?
the money you can buy down
Use
rates. You can use a buy
rent?
down on your rate, or you may be able to update the kitchen. Maybe it's a maybe it's a 3 bedroom slash, fourth bedroom. If you want, maybe you upgrade to that fourth bedroom, and it's like, it's the price is an incentive to get that. Instead of having a 3 bedroom, you can now have that den converted to a fourth bedroom, right? So just some of the things they may do, certain upgrades. A lot of it goes to the interiors, upgraded tile. Because when you buy a house, it's builder grade, and then everything's an add-on. So they may update, from 18-inch to a 24-inch tile, right? And then
Yeah.
they may do the backsplash, and so they'll do incentive packages. But I have seen them work on, as I said, like helping with like either closing cost or buying down the mortgage rate and stuff with some of that money. So it just depends on what builder.
Patty says that the insurance companies are not interested in Florida. That some companies are
Bills.
claiming false claims are being filed. Have you heard about
Well,
this?
well, that was the big thing. So you go back a couple of years, and there were a lot of people, roofers were coming out and saying, "Oh, you can do an insurance claim, get a whole new roof," and it was rampant. People were doing it a lot.
Mm,
I mean, I literally had neighbors, "Oh, dude, I had a ding in my roof, and I got a brand new roof," like claimed for insurance, and that was the problem. And so that didn't help the situation. A lot of people, I mean, I know because my insurance friend lives next door to someone that did it. She's like, "Yeah, great, you just raised everyone's insurance in the neighborhood, but hey, you got a new roof, congratulations." So how much of that, some people would say that's not true, Paul, but something happened. And so there's definitely, they put in some new laws and talked about what you could file for claims and how you could sue the insurance. And none of it was in our favor. It was all protecting the insurance companies. So someone I saw in the comments that they're not interested in Florida. She's right. They're even though we've had a few people come here, two new companies come in the past year or so, there's not a lot of, we had more leave than have come, put it that way.
yeah.
So
Clark says that a lot of new construction, they're giving interest rate buy downs fixed or in concession incentives, and I have seen that. I mean, which is good if you're looking to if you're looking to sell and you are leaving that 3% interest rate, 3.5% interest rate or lower, then getting into a rate that is in the mid fours and buy down 5% even 4.5, maybe even lower depending on what the buy down is,
yeah,
locked in for 30 years. That in itself is that's worth a ton of money. But there again, if you're moving into a situation where your monthly insurance costs are going to be
well, that's
far
the thing.
exceed.
But that's the thing. On the new homes, new homes are built better, right? They're built to all the new standards. They have all impact windows. They're concrete block built. They have a lot of the roofs and everything. Everything is built newer. So the
Yep.
insurance companies. So one of the things that the news report was talking about was that the insurance companies have insurance at a lower price. There was a lady who bought a 3.2 in Port St. Lucie. I think it was a 1,300 square foot house, and her insurance was like $1,400, which was nothing
Wow.
compared to what other
That's
people
less than
pay.
what I
So,
pay.
so brand new home, again, that's kind of what. So if again, new homes though cost a lot more.
Hmm.
Not everyone can afford a new home because
Right.
the new homes around here are like, if you can find any, like 650 up to going on up. I don't even know if there's any in the 650 price range. Everything I look at is really 9 to 1 million every time I go look at one. So
Yikes. Yikes, yikes, yikes. Sinister Spatula. Welcome, my friend. Food costs up, insurance up, shakely markets, unaffordable homes. Don't think this is sustainable. I think I agree. I agree. I don't know. All I can say is save your money. tighten your belts. I think this is going to be I was talking to my friend Jackie about this earlier, and I think this is 2025. To go in a different direction just for a second. 2025 is going to be. I think it's going to be a little bit better, maybe, than 2024, if not the same. And I think in some ways it's going to be better. I think in some ways it's going to be worse. I think that it'll be interesting to see how everything shakes up. I think that the administration is making a lot of changes. Trump's making a lot of changes very fast, very, very fast. We'll see what sticks, see what happens. It could equate to nothing. It could equate to higher prices. I don't see big dramatic changes though, going down. And it's there's just too many things that are broken that need to be fixed. I think this is going to be the year that if you are in a financial position that you have a lot of equity, you're financially stable, and there are a lot of people. There are a lot of people that don't even have a mortgage. 30%, I think it's 30% of all homes in the country are mortgage free. 30% runs, for some reason, rings a bell. And, those folks are not as impacted as,
and they're not selling.
They're not selling. But even if they do, they're walking away with the benefit of all the appreciation over the last 4 years, right? And even if they get into a home, which is probably a lot of why people are still buying in Florida, because they can come in and they can absorb that cost of the insurance and whatnot,
right?
Because it doesn't hurt as much. But I think for a lot of people, it's going to be you can tighten the belts, and it'll be interesting to see how discretionary spending changes this year. I think
I spoke to one of my first time home buyers the other day. I was doing my calls, call everyone, hey, happy new year, how you been? Hope it's been a good year. Talk to him. I remember he bought that house. It was their first house. I go, how you doing? He goes, we love it. It's like that, how the kids are growing, new babies. They bought a townhouse. And I go, how's the equity in your house? And he just goes, it doubled. He doubled. I love this.
Goodness.
I could have been more happy for him. The young guy bought it at the right time. We went through it. We had a little hiccup on it, but we got him to the closing table. But he's sitting in, he goes, and I have no intention of selling. I said, I would never ask you to sell right now. I said, you've got something good, stick with it. I said, there's no reason for you to sell. This works for your family. And then when you're ready, that you're sitting on something good. And he knew, I was like, he said, but I was so happy for him. So
that's awesome.
But that's a lot of people, they're sitting on their properties because they did buy at a low interest rate. And like you said, a lot of people, I saw that article that a lot of people are paid off and they own their homes and they don't want to sell, which is sort of lends to a little bit of the supply problem. But I mean, there's a little bit, but I mean, there's still homes. There's more homes than there were.
Right.
Like I said, we're now at 5.1 months of inventory for single family homes in Palm Beach County, which is technically a buyer's market, right? It's going to get even.
Well, more of a heading to the eve. I think once it gets to 6 months is where it starts to tip. Now you're going to tip. 4 to 6 is going to be healthy, right?
Yeah.
Well, healthy.
Which I hope. I want to see both. I like it. I mean, if both sides get something out of it, it's good, and there's more people. Hopefully, more people will come out. But
110%. I mean, I hear a lot. We all do as real estate agents, and I understand the frustration. Believe me, I understand the frustration. But I hear a lot about folks just kind of the real estate market. All the real estate agents much love the high prices because our fees are commission based, a percentage of the sale, right? Percent. So we must love it. And, the reality of it is you can't sell what you don't have. I had a healthier business. Take COVID out of the equation. I had a healthier business before COVID, right? There was more people that are able to do what they wanted to do.
Yeah.
But the reality of, the agents that have empathy, a conscience, this market has been unfair for too long, and it's just completely unfair to the buyers, especially those that are coming in, they're buying their first house, they don't have the benefit of the equity, from their previous home. It's time. Guess who's in the house?
I saw that.
Oh boy. looking out. Look, watch out for
legend.
trouble. Hey, Clark, can you act as a moderator in case this Jackie Baker person starts to troll? I'll keep an eye on. For those watching, Jackie Baker's a very, very, very close friend of mine, so she's harmless. Oh, Jackie is the best.
Oh, look at
thank
that.
you for the super chat. I love you, my friend. Oh, man. Thank you, thank you, thank you. She says, question for Paul. I was in a local Facebook group earlier. A lady posted she wants to buy a condo in Florida and was asking for recommendations as to where in Florida she should buy. Ooh, good question, Jackie. Take it away.
Got a really nice 2-bedroom first floor condo going on the market tomorrow in Stuart, Florida, and it's cute. The kitchen's gorgeous on it, and it's gonna be priced right. It's nice, and no assessments, no nothing. It's a two level building, so I can definitely get her something there, and it's right within walking distance of the grocery store, and the beach is like over the bridge, 2 miles. Couldn't get any better.
So I actually have, I pulled an article, banking rates, Tampa and 9 Florida cities where homes could plummet in value in 2025. So not great news for home sellers, but maybe some good news for home buyers. Get your foot in the door. Again, interested to hear what your take is on this, Paul, if you concur with this. So this is using a combination of data sourced from Realtor.com, Zillow, and the ReVenture app, ReVenture Consulting. I don't have a lot of data with ReVenture. I know that they do a lot of data crunching. They also tend to err on the side of extreme.
Yeah.
Blow things up a little bit bigger than they actually are, potentially. But I'm interested to see if you agree with some of these cities. So
Let's
the
see.
number
I haven't
10
seen it
is Fort Lauderdale. So inventory supply working against these two areas. ReVenture Consulting said inventory has been increasing by 80% year over year in Fort Lauderdale. And then they said they cited expensive HOA fees, property insurance, like we were talking about. Average homeowner insurance premium, according to Reuters, has skyrocketed by 60%. So that would be number 10, which is interesting. Number 9, Tampa. Home values declined 0.3%. It says the average declines understate the price cuts we're now seeing across much of Tampa. Investors are now liquidating properties and taking a 20% loss on what they bought it for 20 years ago. Do you concur with this?
I don't really know the Tampa market, so I mean, I've talked to some people over there. It's been
Okay.
a while, but I have heard Tampa and that west side of Florida, like they've been getting hit not only on the condos, but
Yep.
single family homes. They've been hitting harder than the rest of us. And that's interesting because that's a huge destination for so many people that want to retire and people
Right.
55 and older. And there's a lot of people from the Midwest that come down the I-75 corridor. But yeah, I've heard lots of talk about like ghost town, like, things people
Yeah.
are leaving, property sitting. And it's been all focused on the West Coast. We've had our own issues over here, don't get me wrong, but I feel for my friends over there on the West Coast.
Well, I mean, Jacksonville, correct me if I'm wrong, isn't that on the East
Yeah,
Coast?
that's East Coast. It's a very tip, yeah.
So that
Right.
says data presented in the video indicates the prices in Duval County. That's how you say Duval? Duval,
Duval, yeah.
are 26% overvalued compared to their long run norms. These homes are
Wow.
dropping on a month over month basis because there are around 4,000 homes for sale. These are all opportunities on where someone could possibly buy. Sarasota, housing inventory is up 4,000, more than 4,000 homes in Sarasota, highest level in nearly a decade.
Yeah.
Time of the market spiked to 91 days. That's across the board, according to the Florida Association of Realtors. Ocala, which we talked about earlier, says they have about 800 homes for sale today. This number has jumped to nearly 3,000. Aside from the number of homes for sale in Ocala being at the highest level within the last 7 years, the excess supply is almost 50% above what it was pre-pandemic.
Wow.
That you can't ignore. That you cannot ignore. When you have excess supply like that, and that
Interesting
affects that
because
individual month's supply of inventory, all that is when you have a home seller that says, okay, I need to sell, or you have a family that needs to sell a home because somebody, passes away or goes to a nursing home, or when you have a situation where it has to happen, opportunity. That could be potential opportunity for a buyer, right?
I'm surprised about Ocala because I remember sending a client up there. They were looking for some properties. There's a lot of land up there, and that's why I say it's called horse country. And the market was competitive,
Really?
um, and it was cheaper to. I mean, although prices went up, it was much cheaper to live up there and get away from the congestion of the east coast of Florida. But wow, that's yeah.
Is it
I'm gonna have to call my realtor connection up there. He's actually related to my broker, and I want to talk to him and see what's going on about that.
is that on the East Coast or
It's right in the
inland?
dead center. It's orange
It's
and it's like above Orlando when you're up there. Like if you look at
okay.
Florida,
Yep.
above Florida and way above Disney. Ocala's up there, close to like it's fairly close to Gainesville. It's like up in the orange
Oh,
groves and horse country, and actually it's above the orange groves. Really, most of the orange is out
interesting.
of you know Orlando
Very,
and all that.
very interesting.
Yeah,
Port St.
that's
Lucie.
interesting. They've
Uh,
been growing hotcakes, so this is interesting.
yeah, well, which kind of supports this. So he says Port St. Lucie is considered the most overvalued area in Florida. Home prices are overvalued by 41%, which kind of falls in line with what you've seen. It says
Yeah,
that this indicates downward price pressure thanks to the high amount of housing inventory and homes sitting on the market for lengthy amounts of time. Is there
a
a lot of new
lot of
construction in Port St. Lucie?
a lot of new construction.
Yeah, that's what I thought I
Just up
heard.
there yesterday. I was just literally driving up there yesterday because I went to my new listing and then I went north to look at another listing. And driving in, you still see a lot of new construction. And a lot of Port St. Lucie is not so much, there are a lot of developments. There's a lot of 55 and older developments, but
Yep.
there's a lot of what you call home builders that do lot built selling. So you go to them, you pick out the home, they'll buy you, find a lot, no HOA. There could be a house next to it that was built 15 years ago, and then there's an empty lot, and then you buy that and they build the house. And I remember driving up there looking for a buyer last year. They were transferring from North Carolina, and I saw so many of those homes being built. It was like, I was like, wow, it's like seeing a whole new city go up. So I'm
Wow.
shocked. Interesting to see that um, comment about them, and they'll. I mean, I guess they built a lot of them, and who knows? Maybe they didn't all sell, or I don't know.
That's crazy. That's
I
crazy.
think most of those were being built. You paid. They're being built as you paid, so they weren't like building development homes.
Patty says, as a longtime resident of Palm Beach County, it is too crowded here. The infrastructure has not kept up with growth. Many areas that would not have been safe to live in aren't anymore.
Hmm.
Interesting. 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 Jackie says, really, your budget is 300,000. Did you
Jackie, we'll
get
talk. We'll talk tonight.
Hey, Christine Halverson's in the house, friend of mine. All right, good to see you. Good to see you here. And Clark says, getting caught up on these comments here. I'm not in the Florida market, but I hear a lot of agents down there talking about CDD community. What exactly is CDD? Is it similar?
Yeah,
It's
community
similar realm of an
development.
HOA. what's a CDD?
It's like a bond, 30-year bond, community development district. You buy a new home. It's one thing you ask when you're going there. Is there a CDD? And it's a 30-year bond that's added onto your taxes, and
Okay.
and it's part of the infrastructure. You got this place, they're putting in all the streets and all the water and all that stuff, and it's all part of that. So it's like a 30-year bond that is on there, so it gets added to whatever your tax bill is.
So it's almost like a co-op, almost. So it's probably like
Um,
$10,000 or something, and you pay for it, but you get
Yeah,
the
it was
money
like
back. You get the
well,
money
went
back when
over
you sell
13
it.
years.
Is that
So I looked at one of the homes that I talked to the guy. I told you I just went to new homes, and if there, I think it was like another $3,000 added to their monthly taxes. But again, their taxes are going to be like it's like 13,000 because the house was up there almost 900 something $1,000. But so yeah, it's
interesting?
like an additional
Interesting.
fee that's added on and paid for like 30 years.
Trying to look it up. My keyboard's way over by the side. I'm trying to look it up.
You see
Uh,
that in a lot of communities. Some have another word, I forgot what they call it. Is a different, but there's some. But so for a while though, like when my buyer bought in a new home, the CDD they paid it as an incentive. So I don't know if that's an incentive now with all these incentives, but there was some that were like, hey, we'll pay, offer like we'll waive it or we'll pay it. I remember that. So
So, let's see, through a CDD, community can offer its residents a broad range of community-related services with infrastructure, like you were just saying, to help ensure the highest quality of life possible. CDD's responsibilities within our community may include stormwater management, potable and irrigation water supply, sewer and waste management, streetlights, relationship with homeowners association, complements the responsibilities of HOAs, and see if I can get this a little bigger, easier to see. Let's see. Many of the maintenance functions handled by these associations and other communities may be handled by the CDD. However, the associations have other responsibilities, such as operating amenities and ensuring the deed restrictions and other quality standards are enforced. Okay, here we go. The cost of a CD is borne by those who benefit from the services. So I passed on, like you just said. And property owners are subject to a non-ad valorem assessment, which appears on their annual tax bill. What? So I guess this is just is this just a fancy way of covering the cost of infrastructure?
Yeah, I think so.
Interesting. Very, very interesting.
Similar to if you lived in a rural part of, similar to, I guess, and again, I could be way off on this, but that's not my expertise on that. But I would say it's similar to like Port St. Lucie. Port St. Lucie has been known for having septic tanks for years. A lot of the homes there. The city changed, and if I understand this correctly, the city changed and they're going to city plumbing. They're putting in city plumbing, right? City sewer.
Okay.
And so if you have a septic tank and it's working, I guess it's okay for a while. But if it breaks, it's no getting it fixed. You can't. They're like, no, you have to switch to the city. And the assessment was like $6,000 to connect the city sewer. I'm probably saying it wrong. It was hard, when it's not my realm. I'm
right.
not in that, but they're trying to get people from using septic and get them closed out and removed and no more, because the problem with septic is that sewage eventually leaked into the groundwater, which led into the Indian River getting polluted, all the algae blooms, all that stuff, along with everything else that washed off into the Everglades.
Well, that sounds like fun.
Yeah.
I'm sure the alligators love that.
Yeah. It's a blast.
Patty says that Port St. Lucie used to be rural, now crowded and unaffordable. Ugh.
It's still less expensive than Palm Beach County, but Patty's right. It has gone up.
There's that sound deck. That's for you, Jackie. Senator Spatchel. Yeehaw! Closed on my house.
Name, by the way. That's
good
a cool name.
For you, man. $245K, Milwaukee, 4-bedroom, best of all, 2 toilets. Let's go. You know what?
Holy
when
cow.
you live with more than one person, having more than one toilet, you do not understand the benefit of having more than one toilet.
Oh yeah.
Unless you live in the middle of nowhere, you can go outside. And even that, I'm not doing that. Good for you. Good for you. I know he's been checking in on, every week and giving updates and all that kind of thing. And I know it's been a literal siege for him to get into the house.
I don't even remember seeing, when I started in 2013, I remember for $245,000, you could get a 3-bedroom house here, with a pool, like $250. I remember seeing them. Like, wow, and it's like, and there was a pool. It's like, I literally can't find a house for under $350,000 for my buyers.
Well, it's where you are. I mean, you move out of Florida, you got to get into Milwaukee. He says it's an old girl, though she's going to need some updates. Needed loads of updates. So you know what, my friend, and I've mentioned this on this channel, before, but the house I'm in now, 25 years ago, my husband at the time and I bought it, and it's only my second house that I've owned. I bought a townhome as a starter place, and then we took the equity after 4 or 5 years, rolled it into this. We bought this because of the location, and it had a 2-car garage under, and it needed a lot of work. But it was livable. It was something that we could chip away at over the years. And he had a background in construction. I'm always looking to, roll my sleeves up. I'll tackle any project. And we did a lot of work. Paul, I was on my hands and knees. I was 8 months pregnant, putting
Oh,
flooring down
wow.
because I got to get it done. Baby's coming. Got to get it done. And I was like, I
That's
feel I feel good. I felt okay, and all the things. I was like 7 months pregnant actually, and so but we chipped away. It took us 16 years to finally get it to the point where it's like, okay, but you know what, all that time we're building equity. And the
yeah.
biggest thing when you buy something that needs work, as long as you get into something that you're like, okay, it's not to the point where you might get in a danger zone. There's
Right.
nothing there that absolutely is going to need immediate attention. But you
That's
can
structural
absolutely. I mean,
foundation.
we did so much work as we had money, right? You
Awesome.
just chip away,
Good
chip away.
job.
So good for you, man.
Congrats, Sinister. I like that name. Is
Oh, that's the best handle ever, man.
it
That is,
cool?
you
I
know,
just got to ask, is he a chef? Are you a chef?
I know. I kind of assume so. I don't remember. You know what? I know you probably said so in one of the live streams. I don't remember. They said it's livable and we're doing things slowly. Fantastic. Okay, so we only got to number 5.
Oh, keep
Number
going.
4's Cape Coral.
Okay. Fort
Yep,
Myers, yeah.
values
Great.
down 5% year over year. Home value expected to drop,
Multiple
dropping
hurricanes.
thanks to excessive inventory. There are 9,600 homes on the market. St. Petersburg, geez, it's 5,600 homes on sale in the, how do you say that, Pinellas County?
Pinellas County,
Pinellas?
yeah.
Highest level
Yep.
in the last 7 to 8 years.
Wow.
Number 2, Lakeland in Polk County.
Mm.
It says
Right outside of
Lakeland.
Orlando.
Where's that?
Right outside of Orlando.
Oh, interesting. Lakeland differs from most of the Florida cities mentioned on this list because it's not on the coast. There you go. Or
Almost.
impacted by hurricanes. It is an area, however, where builders pulled over 200,000 permits in 2022 to build new properties, and where a reduced demand environment is leading to declining home values.
Wow.
Data presented in the video shows that I'm not sure which video they're referring to. I have to go back. But anyways, it shows home values down by 2% month over
Drum roll.
month in Polk County. I suspect those values will accelerate in the future due to the biggest wall of inventory I've seen in the U.S. Housing market of any large county. There are now 4,800 homes on the market side of Lakeland. Prior to the pandemic, it was only 3,000. Ouch, ouch, ouch.
And number one,
You ready? You ready?
Osceola County.
Oh, Osceola County, south of Orlando. So you got north of Orlando and south of Orlando. What's going on in
West
Orlando?
of Orlando. Yeah.
Home values have been declining thanks to massive inventory and builders developing a huge pipeline of homes due. Prior to the pandemic, there were only 2,200, and now there are 3,800 and counting.
Wow.
Why would you say that? Why would you say, like, in and around Orlando, which obviously has a huge draw, people that are going down there for Disney and all the things, and maybe want to do a snowbird situation? I mean, hey, where else to get a snowbird home than short distance to Disney and golfing and all the things, and you're not
Yeah.
getting the weather from the West Coast or the East Coast. Like, is it solely a situation where, similar to what we saw in the Great Financial Crisis, '04, '05, '06, where builders went bonkers pulling permits,
Hmm.
and that's why we are in a situation that we're in now, because when the market crashed in '06, '07, there were a lot of builders holding the bag. A
Oh
lot of
yeah.
builders burned, right? So
Yeah.
why would they do that? Why do you think? Why? What is your speculation?
I don't know. I know. I remember for a while people were moving up there because homes are really dirt cheap. I remember people leaving West Palm Beach, like, "Hey, we're moving to Central Florida. We're going to go up here. It's a little away from the coast. It's in the middle." I, for one, you couldn't. I wouldn't live there because it's too far from the ocean for me, and it's just like it's still hot and humid. but there's no breeze. So you're in the middle of Florida, and I don't know. I mean, I think a lot of people maybe saw some cheap prices and moved there. Um,
Hmm.
I don't know. I don't really go up there that much, so I'm not too sure why that's happening up there.
It's
Maybe they just
interesting.
maybe they were building because a lot of people were looking at that, like you said,
Yeah.
and then people after a while they're just like, yeah, no, we're not that interested in it because I mean it's unless there's friends of my son lives up in the Orlando area, but he doesn't live anywhere near the theme parks. He would not want to be anywhere near the theme parks.
Yeah,
I mean,
I
traffic's
wonder.
a
I'd be
nightmare.
curious to see what the theme park data looks like, or in and around the tourist data, what the tourist data
Yeah.
looks like in that Central Florida area, because you have to remember, like 2020, 2021, there was a lot of COVID money. People were still spending, right? Even though they may have
Oh,
not been working, they pressed pause, stuck at home, so they're not spending anything on vacations. They're not spending money on gas. They're not going anywhere, but yet they're getting checks and unemployment checks and all the things. And it's like, okay, people's coffers were full, and then inflation hit. And when inflation hit, that's what we're feeling now, right? Inflation's come down some, but I think there's just so many people that are reeling, and I wonder what those tourism numbers look like if that is a direct connection to why. I don't know.
yeah.
Be
Because I
interesting
know, because I
to
think
see.
Orlando market was, I thought, was doing pretty good when I watched some other videos from Ken, who does a lot of business up there and stuff. But I don't know. I thought Orlando was growing. They're bringing in tech jobs. They seem to be bringing in young money, young professionals. Seems like it. But these are outside of that. Those are Lakeland. You get out there, there's really not a lot to do once you get out there. So
Yeah, Sinister Spatula. Disney's too pricey now. They got greedy. So I'm a pretty pretty, I wouldn't say, I'm not frugal, careful, you know,
yeah,
with money, and my kids, we've only been to Disney once, and just because I don't believe in putting stuff on credit cards and buying things that you can't afford, and I was blown away. And this was like 2018. It was right, 2018, 2019, right before the pandemic, and I was blown away. I was blown away at the prices. I'm like, this is bonkers, and people come here every year. So,
yeah.
holy
I haven't been to
smokes!
Disney in a long time. I haven't even been to Orlando for the kids are grown now, so I haven't even been to Universal. It's just really expensive to
Patty says there isn't a place, and this is very true. This is very true. There isn't a place in Florida that is not, in some way, impacted by hurricanes. They are unpredictable. I think what we have is that we just have climate. We have
fires,
it's global
hurricanes.
warming. It's the changing environment of our of the impact of what we've put out into the atmosphere is coming back to haunt us. And I watched a program not too long ago, and it kind of went into the science on what's happening with some of this. That was going into the science behind the Florida's the fires in California, and they were
Oh yeah.
talking about that emissions. There's far more cars on the road now than, say, 30 years ago, right?
Hmm.
Even though there's emissions regulations the whole 9 yards, there's still a lot of vehicles, and over time, those emissions have affected the atmosphere. And they were saying that the fires that are burning in California are actually hotter than the wildfires 10, 20 years ago. They're actually burning hotter because the emissions from these vehicles are emitting a gas that's in the air that doesn't completely dissipate, and that is helping ignite. And you have to look at there's science and data behind all of these phenomenon. I mean, the fact that you guys had how many tornadoes when it was either Milton or
Oh,
Helene.
nine tornadoes. Yeah, that
There
hit
were, I mean,
Florida.
it was
We've
bonkers the
never
number
had
of
that.
tornadoes
Yeah,
that's touched down. I don't ever remember. You know.
30 years. Never.
So I think, and I don't think there's going to
Crazy.
be I think that it's going to be interesting. I'm going to
Yeah.
switch gears here for a second though, and get off the Florida bandwagon.
Yep.
I had a question that popped up. Somebody asked on one of my videos about a week ago that I want to just have a conversation with about you, get your take on things, on how things are, in my market up in the Northeast, your market down the South Coast there, and how you handle these things. So this viewer asked, when an agent brings a buyer to view a house, do you recommend the seller be home during the viewing? Or should the seller leave the house and let the buyer agent sell it to the buyer? Would you like to go ahead and give your thoughts on that? And then I'll give my 2 cents on it.
All right. So every situation, let me.
It's a good question. Like, it's a valid question, right?
Right.
It's a question that every home seller says, right? Asks.
Every situation is different with your seller. Some sellers, if they're older, to make them get up and go out, it can be, just, it's easier if they may sit on the patio sometimes. It just depends. But most of the time, I do, if they can, take the dog for a walk, go outside. You hired me to sell your house. You're not the seller. That's why you have me as your realtor. I'm selling your house. Let me sell your house. I don't even have to, and I'm not overbearing when I say that. I mean, the buyer's agent's going to do their job. Let the people walk in the house and see it without feeling uncomfortable. What I tell my sellers is this: up until the day you signed that listing agreement, this was your home. Now it's a business transaction.
Yep.
And I say, and what I mean by that is take all the emotion out of it. They don't care where little Susie lost her first tooth or whatever. They don't, yes, people are human and those things can matter. But the point is, they're looking at the house because they want to live their life in that house. So if they don't feel comfortable making comments about the house, if they feel like someone's watching them and no one's going to, most people are decent and not going to be rude. Although I've had some who walk in, I was like, wow, don't hold back. And the seller's right there. Sure. But take a walk, let them look at the house. And then, we can, if it gets to that point, I've seen them, but we're like, oh yeah, this is great. We enjoyed our birthdays here and stuff like that. That may happen later, but we want to get them to put an offer on your house. And if they can't feel comfortable being in your house enough to express their opinion about it, then, they may just, and they have a bad experience. And look, buying a house is as much a business thing as an emotional thing, right? So they're looking, if they don't want to buy that house because they felt like they just, I don't know, they didn't get a good vibe, or they felt like the person was watching over their shoulder, they're going to go to the next house.
So I agree. I agree with everything that you said. I'm actually gonna touch on the second part. Should leave the house or let the buyer agent sell it to the buyer. So there's a misnomer. There's a falsity, I guess, a false assumption. There's no way any real estate, and this is going to be a little like unconventional, honestly. It's going to be a little unconventional. This is the way I'm going to tell you, fully transparent, and just this is the fact of the matter. There is not a single real estate agent on the planet that can sell you anything. Period. There is no way. If you have no interest in this blue pen, there is no one that's going to talk you into buying this blue pen.
Good point.
Nothing.
Yep.
You cannot be sold. You have to want to buy it. And there's nothing that's going to come out of my mouth. Nothing. Oh, really? It has carpet in the living room? Where do I write the offer? Oh, the cabinets were handmade? Oh, that's it. I'll offer full price. No. They're going to walk in. The buyer's going to walk in. And buyers in 2025, the thing that is super important, is so different than it was 20 years ago, 25 years ago. These buyers are coming in fully educated. They've done all their due diligence. They've done all their back end stuff. They know the area. They know they know the neighbors. They know the names of the neighbors. They may even have talked to the neighbors before they even get there. They've done all their research. That information, it's available online. It's available on the listing. When they walk into that house, they're looking for a feeling. Sellers sell emotionally. Buyers buy emotionally. And there's nothing that I can say to change that. They have to feel it.
Yeah.
Yes, I totally agree that seller needs to not be there for that exact reason. Because the seller can get in the way. The seller may unknowingly try to be helpful and they're actually hindering the process. They may volunteer. They could be a liability. You could say, "Oh, it's a new roof." Well, in reality, unless that roof was put on yesterday, it's not a new roof.
Got a new roof.
If it's a year old, it's not a new roof.
Yeah.
And from experience, Paul,
Newer,
from
but not new.
experience, how many times have you had, I do this? I'm like, oh yeah, I haven't, just a couple of years ago, I had the thing serviced. And then you look at the slip and you're like, holy crap, it's been 10 years. I had a friend of mine who's I'm working with him to put his house on the market. I said, I get an idea about the hot water heater. Oh yeah, hot water heater's like 5 years old. I'm like, okay, cool. I'm just going to double check. So I know, you can tell the age of a hot water heater by the serial number.
Yeah,
You can plug it in and find out.
Yeah.
The hot water heater was almost 15 years old. He was
Time
like,
flies.
this is the thing. If he represented that to the buyers, and then the buyers write an offer, and then they have a home inspection, and then the home inspector reveals it's 15 years old, now you're in unnecessary negotiations that could have been totally avoided if the seller just wasn't there. So there's a lot of reasons why the seller shouldn't be there, but in terms of like helping sell the house, because at the end of the day, that's what it's all about. And I think our job, our biggest value is guiding you on how to prepare it. Like our job starts way before the sign goes on the ground. How to prepare it properly, the pricing in terms of knowing the market, knowing how to interpret the market, how to interpret the data, and then guidance on negotiation and working through. Just because you have an accepted offer, that's usually where my sleeves get rolled up, because now between the time you sign that offer and the time you sign the the deed over to the buyer, it's a one long negotiation. It's the purchase agreement. It's the home inspection. Oh shoot! It's the appraisal. It's this. It's that. Every little nuance. The walkthrough, little things that can come up at every turn. That's really where our job is. We don't sell anything. We shouldn't be called salespeople. There's no such thing. I mean, we prepare it, and then the buyer's either going to love it or they're not. There's nothing the buyer agent can say to them to make them fall in love with it. And I'm sorry for going on a TED talk here on this thing, but the thing is like I feel strongly about the fact that I think that a lot of real estate agents in our industry, they get all like puffy chest ego, like I can sell anything and I can sell this. It's like, get off your freaking high horse. You can't. So there's no. Can you guide someone? Can you give them good advice?
You can. I will say this, because I believe this wholeheartedly, because when you're a good agent and you provide the good information and you're not overbearing, like when they walk in the house, if you walked in, I'd be, hey, hi, Paul, I'm the listing agent. Hi, nice to meet y'all. So let me just tell you the highlights. The roof is here. Water heater's here. This is here because, and I say
Here's
because I know you can say they can find it. But not all buyer's agents are good buyer's agents, and they just let's go look at the house, and they don't tell the buyer everything. So I just go, hey, the roof was put on in 2017. The water heater's this is this, and they recently upgraded the kitchen 3 years ago. If you have any questions, let me know. By the way, check out the clubhouse; it's absolutely amazing. And I step aside.
Perfect. That is, you know what? That's picture perfect. Like even better. Like you have the sheet. Here's the sheet. Have it in writing. Yep. And then you're absolutely, because you're 100%, you can't, I always assume the buyer's agent is,
right.
I'm not going to say on live stream what I think of a buyer's agent sometimes, you know what I mean? But you got to assume they don't know what they're doing, and they may know what they're doing, but you got to assume that they don't. So I put everything in writing, but
I'm not overbearing with it. I back away. But the nice thing is I've made friends with other agents who now, because of the way I conduct myself as a realtor, when they come to one of my listings, and if they had business with me, I've had them say to their people, hey, I've worked with Paul. He's really good. And they like working with me. And it's because I'm respectful to the other agent. And that, in that aspect, it can influence a deal, because I've had people go, wow, I had a good feeling, and that was a good showing. And the buyer's agent was like, yeah, Paul's a decent guy. I've worked with him. Do you like the house? And they'll kind of like, and they feel like they're getting through, they're not going to go into battle. What it is. Again, my objective is to do the best by my seller, but if you come across chest puffed and all that, both the agent and the buyer are going to go, that guy's idiot. I don't. Let's just forget it.
This
And
is like a lesson in how to shop for a buyer's agent, because if you're walking through a house, if you say you have a one day listing, a buyer agent agreement or whatnot, which incidentally, if you haven't interviewed multiple buyer's agents, you don't know this buyer agent, do not sign a long-term buyer agent agreement ever. You do one property. That's it. You can do it 6 times on 6 different properties. Do it one property at a time. But the best way to know is if they start, oh, your family dinners will be here, and oh, look at the kids' rooms, and oh, you could have Tupperware parties. Like, that is such BS. But you know
Hey,
what,
that's a good
you know
thing.
what I love to do? I love to poke holes, and not literal poke holes, but like, I will go through a house, and Jackie and I laugh about this because I've been accused so many times in a joking way by my buyer clients that I've been asked, like, are you trying to talk us out of this house? And I'll say, like, no, but I want you to tell me why you want it, because sometimes they get overwhelmed with the
Mhm.
emotion, and it's our job to play the pragmatic, to say, okay, this is the logical side. The emotion is going to run away, and a lot of crappy buyer agents will ride that emotion and be like, great, let's go write an offer. And I usually head right to the basement. If it has a basement, most houses here have basements, I go right in the basement. I'm like, let's see, that's where all the business is. Let's look at foundation.
Interesting.
Let's look at electrical. Let's look at heating system. Let's look at plumbing. Like,
I look up. I look at
that's,
from Florida. I look at the roof. That's the first thing I walk in a house, and I look straight
yeah,
up.
for where you're
Look,
at.
yeah, I
For
straight
sure.
at that.
For
I
sure,
almost
for
first
sure.
thing you'll see me when I walk in a house, my head's like this, looking up, and that's
Because it
just
doesn't
look.
matter. It doesn't matter what the rest of the house looks like if you have a foundation, if you have a
Yeah.
foundational issue. In other words, if you've got, a furnace, and it's a buyer that can't afford to put a new furnace in, and the house is 40 years old and the furnace is
Ooh.
original,
Wow.
that could be a
Yeah.
deal breaker. They don't even look at the rest of the house, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't
Yeah.
matter. So, I mean, that's what it should be happening. So,
Well,
that,
that's why you and I. That's why people. We care. That's you. I've talked to you. We care about our customers. I mean, you don't last in this business if you don't care. If you're not a
yeah,
good agent
not long.
and care about the people, you won't. You may get a couple big hits, and then they're gone. And I've seen that. Like, oh, that guy's not around anymore. What happened to him? And
Yep.
stuff, because people know, and other agents know, and then so you want to be both professional to the other agents because it's the circle you work with, and because of that professionalism, I've had other agents go, "Hey, Paul, I have a listing come up in the neighborhood. Do you have a buyer?" I'm like, "Oh man, do I? We've been looking. Thank you. Like, we'll
Yeah.
come as soon as you have the house." So
That is awesome.
yeah.
Patty says, I had a great feeling about a home I was considering until the neighbor's emotional support dog started barking. That would have been a deal breaker for me. I don't do. I'm gonna be honest. I'm not a dog person. I know that that's like a taboo thing to say. It seems like everybody has dogs. I don't do dogs. I'm just not a dog person. I'm allergic too, but
Yeah.
that would be it's no sale. This
I
didn't
don't know
happen
how
the
cool it is
first
right now.
time I looked at the property. It was a second visit. So you know what? Given that, I'm so glad you're mentioning that, because given that the market is slowing down, and I'm curious to know, Paul, are you seeing second showings? I mean, I haven't seen second showings
Oh yeah.
in years, right? And I love the fact that they're coming back, because this is a huge purchase.
Mhm.
You're
Yeah.
gonna
The one I
see it
just closed, they
once.
did.
I looked at my daughter just bought, she's a college grad. Her car on, you know, um, inconveniently died
Yeah.
several months after she graduated, and she took care of her credit. She did all the right things in college, and so she was able to buy a 1-year-old car. And we looked at that car, and we're talking about a $16,000 car, right? We looked at that car more than some people look at 5, 6, 7, $800,000 homes. We looked at that 2 or 3 times, and it just
Yeah.
blows my mind. So I like to see that coming back, for the second visit for that exact reason, Patty. And one of the things that because the market's slowing, and this is a great thing, is I always tell folks, like, great, you want to go see it. If you can, see it at different times of the day and on different days of the week,
Hmm.
because that dog may not be home. It may be in a dog kennel Monday through Friday, or the owner's at work,
Yep.
and then you only see it on a Tuesday. So try to see it different times of the day, different days of the week. So, but you've seen a lot more of that, Paul. second
Yeah.
showings and stuff?
Yeah. We had the one I just closed on a couple of weeks ago. They came back
Well,
twice.
that was staged. That was a dog, right? In the
I have
background.
2 dogs, and they're
That
both
was
staring
that
at me.
was
No.
this live
I have
stream's
2
done.
dogs, and we
This
have
live
2
stream's
little
done. I'm
puppies
just
that
kidding.
my wife fosters. So we're definitely dog people. That's all right. Yeah, that's okay. But
Hey, don't get.
yeah, we're seeing people. The other one, a condo I have under contract, they came and looked at it, and then they came back and looked again. So yeah, you're seeing people because they can.
That's awesome.
They're not flying. So, but we'll see what happens with the market.
I really appreciate you being here, Paul.
No, my pleasure. Thank you so much.
100%. And hey, everyone that has joined us, glad you're here. Thank you for jumping in the chat. If you have any questions for Paul, you can reach out to him on his channel, Palm Beaches Paul. Put some great content out. You can reach out to him through his YouTube channel. And if you want some more information on the East Coast Palm Beach area. And then, of course, if you guys need a referral to an area that's not in the Palm Beach area, head to my website or click the link in the description. It'll get you to the form, the referral request form. Fill that out. I'll get back to you. I'll get you connected to my preferred network of agents. My process is pretty, sometimes I have to, if I don't have an agent in a particular area and I start interviewing agents, sometimes I have to go through two or three of them, Paul, before I'm like, okay, you passed the test. You passed the test. But hey, I appreciate you being here, Paul, and I appreciate all you guys. And if you're watching this on the replay, feel free, drop any questions and comments that you may have. Don't forget about the, let's see if I can pop it up here, if I can find it. Where are you there? There we go.
Everyone, make sure they like and subscribe. If
Yeah,
first time here,
yeah. Well, we don't say that. I don't. That's fine. Whatever.
yeah,
That part. I want them to call in. I want them to call in. I want them to leave your name and number and not your name and number, your name and where you're calling from. And I will not harass you. I will not call you. I will not put you on an email.
nice.
I don't do that garbage unless you want me to. But I'd love to have people, hear your voice. We have a viewer here. Nicole has done that a couple times, and to hear your voices instead of just reading the text is a pretty cool thing. It's a pretty cool thing.
Nice.
So very good. Well, appreciate you guys being here. Hey, everybody have a great week. It is a crazy, crazy world out there. Right, Paul? A lot of stuff. Be kind. Look before you cross the street. Be nice to your neighbor. And even if you don't see eye to eye with someone, don't feel the same way you do on certain things, certain social issues, we're all in this together. We're all overpaying for eggs. Just saying. So keep that in mind. Everybody's struggling. So have a great week. Be good. We'll see you next Tuesday. See ya.